Yeah, we're waiting. Now we can go. All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Used to be Bandwagon Wednesday. Now it's Overrated, Underrated, Rated Just Right Wednesday. We're coming to you from the Arctic Earth Studios tonight, brought to you by Premier Sportsplex. And you can get it on the United Supermarkets text line at 806-772-0197 if you're on Twitter and you're on YouTube to get your thoughts in. What do we do? The early arrivals, it's real simple. Let us know the audio is good, the video is good, then start spreading the message. Hey, we're talking Texas Tech sports. We're talking West Texas. We're talking about the things people care about, you and your friends care about. We're growing Raiderland every day. Thanks to great sponsors, like I've already mentioned. Thanks mainly to you guys, who I probably don't mention enough. So thank you for being a part of what we do. So yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. You guys get in on the text line on Twitter and on YouTube. Thanks to United Supermarkets, 806-772-0197, just like the radio show. If you're on Facebook, hey, it's easy. You just comment in the comment thing, and off we go. We got basketball to look at. Why is Texas Tech better this year? And it's overrated, underrated, rated just right. Wednesday, we give you topics. You tell us whether they're rated right or wrong. We have added Nick Saban into the mix today. We had Jay Billis in there earlier today on the Raiderland.com. And then Texas Tech men's basketball also backing into parking spaces. Overrated, underrated, rated just right. The backing out, I watched a guy today. It took well over a minute for this guy to back his truck, and it's a new truck, well over a minute to back into a parking space. And I'm like, I'm not crippled up or nothing, you know. Could have easily just gone a couple of spaces over, pulled through. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you're a backer upper, but at least you can usually do it in under a minute. That's what we got today. Overrated, underrated, rated just right. Nick Saban retiring as Alabama head coach. It's hard to leave a place like Alabama better than when you found it. He did. Is he overrated, underrated, or rated just right as a coach? Don't forget his tenure brief. No, it was in the NFL. We got all that going on. And then Jay Billis, who, well, I don't know. It's college basketball season. So we'll throw Billis into the mix tonight. In 3, in 2, in 1. Good evening, West Texans. All you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com, the website. Start your day every day there. I really want you guys to grow the hot links section. I'll put out cool stuff that I've seen over the last 24 hours. I'll link to it. I want you guys in the comments section to add your own stuff that people in Raiderland will like, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or any story you might see somewhere. Put that in there, and then we have the question of the day, like we always do, because it's a question every day. There you go. How would I like to be the guy that replaces Saban? I don't know. How much are they going to pay me? Yeah, that would determine how much I would like to be the guy that replaces Saban. And we'll talk about the history of Alabama football, which is a little bit more up and down than a lot of people realize. Hi there, David Shula playing Texas Tech. And a lot of basketball tonight. Men's basketball wins over Oklahoma State easily last night. So why is Texas Tech better this year? What do you think the reasons are? And I know we can talk about McCaslin. We can talk about, but there are a couple of things that I'm seeing right now that I look at and say these to me are the factors why Texas Tech is a better basketball team today than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever. 3 really. You got to go pretty far back to the last time Texas Tech was sitting where they are regarding RPI. And I'm going to say this again. I use RPI, even though I know we've got KenPom, we've got this number, we got whatever. I use RPI because I still think a lot of people are RPI and they understand that's the rating, that's the number. So anybody who wants to come at me and say, well, why don't you use KenPom? Why don't you use X? And okay, I'm speaking in a general way. Really, if you want to get down to it, the number I'm going to use for you is hoopshd.com and bracketville.wordpress. Those are the two best because KenPom doesn't do one thing that matters to me. project the NCAA tournament field, which is all that matters. At the end of the day, all of this is building to the NCAA tournament. So why would I not use the two best sources to tell me where Texas Tech is going to be come March? Because that's all it really matters, right? The regular season trophies and whatnot are cool, but your legacy is created in March and April. That's why we use hoopshd.com, the nitty-gritty number, in Bracketville in the breakdown. John says players are playing as a team and not worried about individual stats. How do you know that, John? Have you talked to him? Better coach and players are team-oriented. What does team-oriented mean? And I'm not, not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, what does team-oriented mean? And don't forget, it's Free Fire Zone tonight. You guys can start getting in on the overrated, underrated, rated just right. Is Jay Billis, as a college basketball announcer, overrated, underrated, or rated right? Is Nick Saban as a coach rated, overrated, underrated, just right? And then back into the parking spaces. One of the interesting things, the concern with the McCaslin hire was that his style was slow and boring. And then I don't even have to read the rest of it. If you were listening to me and Rob Bro on Talk 103.9 FM News Money Sports FM last spring, we told you that his past history was actually much more up-tempo. That if you went back and looked, when he had players that could get up-tempo, he went up-tempo. Why was he going slow tempo the last 2 years? That's what his players were. What is that? That's a coach who adapts and tries to win with what he has. And we told you that last spring for those who are paying attention. How you doing, Rob? One half of the Gambling Gauchos. Hopefully you guys take in everything that the Gauchos who gamble do, because it's really good stuff, and I really hope you guys do that. So, yeah. Yeah, that dog's barking. Where are they barking? Nobody knows. So let's look at last night's game, 90-73. 4 turnovers in the game. That's really good. Which is going to lead us around to where we're getting here. You had 17 assists on the night. And I look at everybody who played, and I see 4, 4, 4, 2, 5, a couple zeros, 1 on the split box, and how deep you went. I see a lot of assists. That's really good. If you want to know one of the biggest reasons why I think this team is better this year than it has been in the past, it starts with Joe Toussaint. And last night's line is not that impressive, all things considered. 3 of 9 from the field, not that great. 0 of 1 long. But he was 7 of 8 at the line. He did have a couple of assists, a couple of rebounds. No turnovers. This offense is running well because he's running it well. And when you have a really good point guard, not only does the point guard get assists, but the point guard puts the ball in situations where other players get assists. It's a 2-pass game. It's a 2-pass concept. It's not just, the point guard throws to this guy and he gets a shot. No, it's the point guard moves the ball over here, reverses inside, down low, layup. But it only happens if the point guard moves it over here, comes back to the right, we go down low. That doesn't happen without that. So there will be people who look at Toussaint's line last night and go, well, that wasn't really that impressive. If you were watching the game, particularly in the critical parts in the first half, you saw the ball movement that this team has that's predicated by the point guard. I think that's one of the biggest reasons this team is better this year is bringing in Toussaint and having a really competent point guard, a really competent ball, not just ball handler, but ball mover. Ball mover? Ball mover? Distributor? Throw it around? It gets lost in the shuffle. This team continues at free throws, which is kind of nice. Last night, what an off night, 76.5%. Yeah. But if you ask me today, of all the players, of everybody who's out there, to me it's Toussaint and what he gives this team that you haven't had over the last several years. Never underestimate the power of a really good point guard or guard. Brian says, seems like rebounding and three-point shooting has improved. Big man play, Washington, better point guard play. Yeah, Washington, nice night. He also had the 5 assists, which we love assists. The three-point shooting, statistically, what were you last night? You're 7-13, I think. What were you? Yeah, 54%. That's exactly how many three-pointers I want this team to take a night. 12-13, 12-15. Well, what about other nights when they just leave you alone on the no, penetrate, drive, kick? That's just the right amount of three-pointers. I think Pop Isaacs last night, what was he? 4 of 8? Okay, he's the guy. If somebody's going to take a dominant amount of three-pointers, he's the guy. And then nobody took more than 2. That's good. That's fine. I like that. This team will be better doing that. Points off turnovers 11-4 was good too. Let's see. What do we got? Donald says Nick Saban is like Jimmy Johnson of NASCAR. It was a fundamentals and sticking to what worked for their teams. I like that analogy right there. It wasn't always flashy. It wasn't always, the flavor of the day or anything. You just got the right people. You kept grinding. You did stuff. And Saban was really good at bringing in coaches, coach rehab, all that stuff, but bringing in good, smart coaches and coaching the coaches. That was a term I learned a long time ago. And it has been morphed. And I thank you, Donald, for bringing this up, because it's been morphed into what we call today the CEO coach, which to me is a pejorative. But that the great coaches coached coaches. The great coaches coached the coaches, then the coaches coached the players. Now, the head coach still coached. He coached everybody, offense, defense, whatever. Tom Landry, Vince Lombardi, Chuck Noll. They coached their coaches. Bill Walsh with San Francisco. That's why you had the extensive tree out of the West Coast offense into the 90s and the 2000s. That they coached their coaches. And I think that's one thing that Saban has done a great job of is bringing in guys and coaching the coaches. There were a lot of coaches, pretty good, really good head coaches, coaches who won national championship, who couldn't coach coaches. I'm talking about Mac Brown. Mac Brown couldn't coach coaches. He would hire good coaches, really good coaches, but then he didn't do anything with them after that. Don't ask me. I'm telling you this from what I've learned. This is not me talking. This is me talking to really smart sports guys, that he had a great eye. Mac Brown has a great eye and a great understanding of awesome coaches, but it ends there. That's the difference between a Mac Brown and a Nick Saban. That's the difference between, you want to go Bear Bryant? What do you want to do? That the great ones really coach coaches, not just identify them. Alan is watching. Brett is watching. Alan says cogent offensive schemes are the big on-court difference from last year. Talking about Tech basketball and why are they better this year than last year. It's not just cogent, which is a big fancy word for thinking, cogitating. You're going to cogitate on something. See, cogent is cogitate. I believe that is Latin. And it's about thinking on something. So we're going to think on the offense. What are we going to think on the offense? Well, what this offense does to me is it's got good east, west, north, south that I watch. It's not a motion offense, but it's not a stand around 4 down. It is certainly not an ISO, but there's movement with purpose. And again, I go back to Joe Toussaint, moving the basketball, moving the defense, and able to penetrate and get good high percentage shots. I think too many people are still thinking this is a three-point shooting team. It's not. Pop Isaacs is a three-point shooter. The rest of this team is not, for my money, great three-point shooters. They'll knock a few down here and there, but they're not great. Yeah. So it's fun to watch that. Points in the paint last night. You had 46 points in the paint. How do you get points in the paint? You enter the basketball, don't you, John? That's good offense. That's moving it in. I hadn't mentioned that. I apologize because that was on my list. Kirby Smart says Randy is a very strong branch from the Saban tree. Jimmy Johnson also coached coaches. Yeah, Kirby Smart. Why would he leave? You don't have to leave Georgia right now to take the Alabama job. I would not 100% leave. If I'm Dan Lanning, if you want who I think would be the guy, I'd be Dan Lanning taking that job. Why the hell not? But they've had their share of Shulas. They've had their share of bad hires since the days of Bear Bryant. You know, was it Jim? Not Jim Foss. Ray Perkins. Golly, who was the guy who left the Giants to go coach him? Doesn't matter. Yeah, Alabama can hire a bad coach, and Alabama proves, by the way, when you do hire a bad coach, no matter how great you are as a program, you can drop down if you make the wrong hire. We use the term in baseball, momentum is next day's starting pitcher. All right, momentum for Alabama right now is who they hire. If they make a bad hire, they'll still be Alabama. And here's the difference, all right? You can drop down and stuff like that, but the Alabamas can get healthier quicker. If you're a Texas Tech and you make a bad hire, if you're a Kansas State and you make a bad hire, it's harder to get healthier quicker. The Alabamas of the world, the USCs of the world, the whatever, you get healthier quicker if you make a bad hire. Was Shula the Bama coach that beat us in the Cotton Bowl? Yeah, that was Mike Schuler. Shula. Yeah. And that was him on that weird still. To this day, do not know how that ball went through the uprights at the Cotton Bowl in real time. Still didn't think it made it. Yeah, that was him. Over under, rated just right. Roll Tide, baby. Roll Tide, says Mike Price. Overrated, underrated, just right. This is what we're doing on Wednesdays now. We give you topics on the website. And everybody who watches the show and enjoys the show, please go to the website every day and sound off in the comment section. Jay Billis, is he overrated, underrated, or rated right? I think he's overrated. And only because there's no way anybody could be as good as Jay Billis thinks he is. We have Nick Saban. Is he overrated, underrated, or rated right? If you want to say he's overrated, I can understand. Don't say it too loud. Not right now. Greatest college coach in the history of right now. But anyhow. And then Big 12 men's basketball. Who's going to be the front runner for the Bama job? Dan Lanning. There you go. And, of course, Bear Bryant, because there are those who think they could exhume the body of Bear Bryant, trot out a casket, set it on the sideline, drop a headset in there, and a houndstooth hat, and that Bryant, from the dead, could at least get them to 9 wins, if not 10, without looking at film. Billis just seems like he tries too much to be the know-it-all. Well, he is a lawyer. Speaking of lawyers, David Collier came back 28, and the score. I was going to butcher the call letters. Anyhow, the score from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoons here in Lubbock. David Collier with us now. Lots of coaches about to get raises every year. Happens every year. You play the raise lottery. If not, your agent sucks. Get a new agent. Remember when people were worried about McCaslin's offense? We scored 90. Yeah. Again, Randy, if you'd listened to me and Rob Rowe last spring when he was hired on Talk 103.9 FM, great radio station, we told you, and Rob did a great deep dive on this, when he had athletes and players who could get up and down the floor and score, he did. The reason he played slow the last 2 years at North Texas, they couldn't get up and down the floor and score the way he wanted to. Dead Bear Bryant is the Bama equivalent of the 12th man. Exactly. Would they go after Sark at Texas? No, not at all. 100% no, not at all. Zero chance of him getting the Alabama job. I say that it would be the equivalent of when Nebraska was walking around. They could not find anybody to hire that wanted to take the job, and Houston Nutt all of a sudden became the lead candidate or something. Something like that. No, Sarkeesian, no. I mean, other than going to coach rehab, and again, he gets on a big stage and he wets himself with Texas, who I think Texas was a better team than Washington. And once again, on the biggest stages, Sarkeesian wets himself. So I don't think you have to. Well, if you're a Texas fan, you don't have to worry about that. And if you're a Tech fan, it doesn't matter. Off the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. I've done a poor job of mentioning that tonight. I apologize, but you can always go on the text line on Twitter and on YouTube. Saban's smart enough to get out of college football with NIL and the portal mess. I'm going to start there. NIL and the portal are not a mess. NIL is beautiful. It's great. It's wonderful. It doesn't hurt Alabama. Alabama's not been hurt by either one of those two things. So we'll stop there. Now he doesn't have to re-recruit players on his own roster. You don't re-recruit at Alabama. You just recruit. Nothing to do with it. The greedy side of college football is finally going to be the demise of it unless there are changes on how the portal and NIL operates. I couldn't disagree more. It's actually making college football better. This championship game, by the way, was watched by more people than any in the last 5 years, and it featured neither a team from the SEC in it. So those who keep talking about the demise of college football due to the portal and to NIL continue to be wrong. It actually helps. Saban's retiring because he's old. He's in his 70s. He's old. It's hard, portal or non. And so I should invest in Depends 100%. He's not retiring because of the damn portal or anything. No. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Portal, no. Not at Alabama. You're retiring because it's really hard. Even when you're in Alabama, it's really hard. Pete Carroll is now available. He's young, he's rested, he's tanned. Well, he's not tanned because he's been in Seattle, but he would like to get tanned again. So I think he can replace what's the kid from Muleshoe who's out there at USC. Time to go. The portal is evil. The portal is wonderful. The portal is great. I was in it earlier today. I went in. I had a sandwich. It was nice. A little BLT. Am I the only one, by the way, when you get a BLT, the bacon is the critical aspect of that whole thing, that if it's too crunchy and crispy, it kind of gets in the way of everything. It's falling apart. It's not a part of the deal. You don't want it soggy where you're having to chew on it, too much. But the bacon's got to be right on a BLT. Otherwise, the whole thing, it's just not happening. I was thinking about that the other day, though, when I think about sandwiches and wraps a lot. If Belichick gets fired, we'll be out of 70-year-old coaches. Damn it, what are we going to do? I mean, Belichick's not going to be back. It's just a matter of where he might end up. And why, what is there in the history of Bill Belichick, what is there that makes you say he can develop young quarterbacks other than one? What is there? Off the United Supermarkets text line, Kirby has been very against the portal in NIL. I don't know who Kirby is. I assume we're talking about Georgia. I don't care. You can be against it. You can love it. It's here. You embrace, you adapt, you move on, or you quit. Jay Wright didn't like the current state of college basketball. He quit at Villanova. If you don't like it, you can quit. Or you can adjust. Gerald Myers didn't like the three-point shot or the shot clock necessarily. He ended up getting fired. Dean Smith adapted, hung on for a few years, won the 93 national championship. You can either adjust or adapt or quit. Bob Knight had a great 10-year run, 76-86, 3 national championships. changes came around to the sport, he remained a relevant coach. He won, but never at the same level because he didn't like a lot of what went on. But he was such a good coach that he could still win at a pretty high level. So either embrace it or quit. If Belichick gets, oh yeah, we already read that. Kirby doesn't have to worry about it because he'll still get the best players regardless. Why? Why will he? Regardless, because why? And I don't know how old you are, Andy. I can remember when Georgia was average and had to schedule Texas Tech for non-conference games to try to get wins. It was, not national championship caliber by any standard. You're not going to get the best players regardless. You'll get the best players if you recruit well, and if you do well. But to just sit there and say, "Oh, yeah, we're going to get them no matter what," it doesn't work that way. Let's see, how many national championships has Michigan had undisputed in the last 50 years? And they have every advantage. They have every okay. Well, there you go. Why is my dog barking? I don't know. Jay Billis, overrated, underrated, rated just right. I really had intended on this be a whipping on a Jay Billis type deal. And obviously, he has that kind of power through ESPN, and they control the internet and they control how many people can see this broadcast. And I've been throttled down tonight by freaking Jay Billis. And really, really thought we'd get one. Yeah, even Bo never won a national championship. He did not. The 10-year war with him and Woody Hayes. I really thought, with Premier Sportsplex backing us, the game is on 5 locations. Really thought we'd be talking about Jay Billis more tonight. I have a love-hate relationship with Jay Billis. I appreciate his perspective. He's really good X's and O's. He really is. Because he was a moderately average college basketball player on an up-and-coming program. Those are the best analysts, by the way, in my opinion. Guys who had to work hard, guys who didn't come easy, guys who had to do it. That's why catchers in baseball are the best managers, typically. But also, Billis is just so freaking smug. Like, he did all of the Duke championships in the 90s, in the 2000s and everything, that I have this deal with Billis that I can't get by. So I don't know where to put him. Overrated, underrated, rated just right. Probably rated right on mine. Depends on yours. We asked the question, Big 12 men's basketball, overrated, underrated. It's underrated still. It's still underrated. I grew up in an era in the 70s and into the 80s where I had the waning days of UCLA and John Wooden domination as a really small kid. The ACC was always there. Then I got to watch the beauty of the Big East in the 80s, in the late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s particular, the rise of Big Money, all that stuff. My gosh, if you're my age and you had ESPN back in the day, so good. So good watching the Big East. The Big 12 is as good as the Big East was. It's just a bloodbath every night. It's as good as a conference I think can be right now and have this many teams. Yeah, they found out last night, one with the Big 12, higher, Iowa State, that this league, to me, is every bit that they should be making documentaries the way they made them on the Big East. Requiem for whatever they called it. There's a great 30 for 30. And I love the 30 for 30 on the Big East. The Big 12, though, right now, as we speak, every year, the national championship can come out of the Big 12. Yeah, let's just throw in Arizona. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. And I love it that it happens in a part of the country that it's not supposed to happen in. College basketball is supposed to be the denizen of the Big East area, the Northeast, or the ACC, Tobacco Road in through there, or back in the Big Ten area, the Ohio States and the Indianas and the Michigans and all that area. Now, you're not supposed to be able to do it in this part of the country. Well, guess what? We can play basketball. Energy, Packer and McGuire. Great team calling basketball. Yes, they were. Dick Enberg. Beautiful Dick Enberg. Dick Enberg talking about John Elway and his steely blue eyes. Nothing will ever get better. Dick Enberg can call anything. Yeah, but Enberg, Packer, and McGuire. Great team. See, I would say right now, still, Big 12 basketball is underrated. That the rest of the country doesn't want to admit how good it is. You've got some people saying it, but the rest of the country, they don't want to talk about it that way. It's like every year that the Big 12 wins, every year it happens, it's just a one-off thing again. It's another one-off thing. Oh, it's just a one-off thing again. And it's a Baylor. It's Tech playing a national championship game. It's Kansas winning. I know, you know. Too bad. Because it's really good. All right, last chance. We are now in green, white, checker territory, as Damon would tell us right now. Tech men's basketball rolling. You can give me your reasons why you think they're doing better this year than last year. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to say something else. Overrated, underrated, rated just right. Any of that. Put that there. You got to get in quick because we're going to get out. By the way, I'm not trying to look cool. My dog slashed me in a horror film earlier this evening. She is a big Catahoula lab mix. I don't know if you know what a Catahoula is, and certainly a lab. And she just has fingernails from hell. And she jumped on me and just straight down. And so that's what this is all about. Not trying to look cool. But yeah, one of the things my dad left me when he died was his freaking old man skin. Thank you, Dad. And he always, under his watch for years, he would have like a paper towel or something under there. And I was like, well, what are you doing there? Like a sweatband? No, the watch, and stuff, and coaching would cut. I'm an old man skin. If you want to feel old, as you get older, look at your hands. Your hands will tell you. And then all of a sudden, when your dog scratches the shit out of you and you start bleeding, that's when you know you got old man skin. You can't run from it. You can't escape it. You just got to understand it. You got to deal with it. I used to make fun of him. Now I'm the same guy. Jeez. Thanks, Coach. So if any of y'all have dealt with that, we totally understand. All right, we got to shut it down for Twitter and YouTube. Hit the end stream. Oh, we got to do it again.